Hello students, you are welcome to Prepclass Tutors. My name is Mr. Chima and I'll be your tutor for today. So looking at your screen, you're going to see Waec Biology 2019. So this tells us that we are going to be solving past questions on biology for the year 2019. Now, in our previous videos, we have solved past questions on this same year. We've solved questions number 1 to 15. So today, I'll be engaging you guys on questions 16 to 20. So as always, students, do not forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. I even urge you that before even you continue with this video, pause the video and click the subscribe button. Like our videos, drop a comment on our comment section box. A comment can be a question. Maybe after watching the video, if there's any area that you find we are not completely clear, you can just drop a comment there by asking the appropriate question. You can also do well to share this video so that we can reach as much students as what possible, as much candidates, JAM candidates as what possible. So without wasting your time, let's just go straight to the business of today, which is to solve these biology questions 16 to 20 of the year 21-19. Okay. Question number 16, you can see it on the screen. But they've given us an instruction here. They said, the diagram below, which is this, is an illustration of a human brain. No, Waec is wrong here. This is not a human brain. I didn't want, or should I say, when preparing this material, we didn't want to alter this. That was what they typed. If you look at your JAM past question, this question is from them. This is not the human brain. This is the brain of a rabbit, because I can see this part is called the olfactory lobe. It is much more developed. Olfactory is smell. So the area that controls smell is more developed in the rabbits and dogs than in man. Man's own is very small. It's not as pronounced as this. So this is the brain of a rabbit. So don't mind them. So the diagram below is an illustration of a rabbit's brain, not human brain. Don't mind them. Study it and answer questions 16 and 17. So question 16 says, the part labeled I is it the olfactory lobe? Is it the cerebellum? Is it the cerebrum? Is it the medulla oblongata? Look at that name, medulla oblongata. Now let us see. I quickly did justice to that here, labeled it. This part is the cerebrum. This part is the medulla oblongata. So this part here, this one is the olfactory lobe, but I didn't label it anyway because they didn't ask us anything relating to that. So this one is the cerebrum. This one is the medulla oblongata. This part here is the cerebellum. So of course, the part label I is the word cerebrum. So the correct answer there is cerebrum. If it is cerebellum that is being chosen in your past question, please, I don't know how you can change it. The correct answer is what? Cerebrum. Question number 17. The function of the part label 2 is that it controls. Now, I've told you that part label 2 is the word medulla oblongata. So now, what's the function of the medulla oblongata? I said that the medulla oblongata controls many involuntary actions like heartbeats. Involuntary actions means actions you cannot control. You cannot control your heartbeats. You can't tell your heart, oh yeah, stop, start. No, it's not possible. You can't control your heartbeat. You can't control movement or bowel movement or the movement of food in your digestive system. Yes, you swallow. After you've swallowed, the food moves to your stomach. When it will break down, enter your small intestine, assimilate, digest, and will pass out waste products, you don't even know when that process is taking place. So it's an involuntary action. Blinking of the eyes. Yes, some people may say they can control it. Yes, but if something should pass in front of your face, you will not. You just blink. You get that point. Although that one is being controlled by the spinal cord. But in some cases, blinking of the eyes naturally is controlled by the word medulla oblongata. Respiration, your breathing in and breathing out is controlled by the medulla oblongata. Dilation and constriction of the blood vessels, as blood is flowing through your arteries, veins, and capillaries, those processes are controlled by the medulla oblongata because they are involuntary actions. Not all involuntary actions are controlled by medulla oblongata. Some are controlled by the spinal cord, like knee jerk. But these ones I mentioned here, or the function of this part level 2, which is the medulla oblongata, is control of some voluntary actions. So the answer there is many involuntary actions. Sorry, did I say voluntary actions? No, it's the control of somewhat involuntary actions. Involuntary actions. So the correct answer there is many involuntary actions. That's the control of the word medulla oblongata. Very funny and jaw-breaking name. Okay, question number 18 says to focus on a distant object, the ciliary muscle of the eye, A, contracts and the eye lens gets thicker, relaxes and the eye lens gets thinner, contracts and the eye lens gets thinner, relaxes and the eye lens gets thicker. Let us see. Now, this is the eyes. This is the lens. I'm not much concerned about all these other parts. I'm only concerned about this lens. This is the ciliary muscle or ciliary body. And there are some things here that are like threads here and here. They are called the suspensory ligaments. They hold this lens in position. If the suspensory ligament becomes loose or becomes stretched, do you understand what I'm saying? You know, as rubber, whether you draw a rubber, when the rubber becomes stretched and the rubber becomes relaxed, go back to this ordinary size. That's what this suspensory ligament does. When it becomes loose, when it becomes or stretched, it can adjust the thickness of this lens. When it becomes stretched, the lens becomes thinner and longer. When it relaxes, the lens becomes shorter and broader. That process whereby these our lens can become thinner and longer or shorter and broader helps us to see far away objects and close objects easily. And we call that process accommodation of the eye. Accommodation of the eye is a process whereby the eye has the ability to adjust its focal length by becoming thinner or thicker, enabling us to see distance and far objects clearly. But what actually performs that function is this ciliary muscle or body. Depending, when it contracts, the suspensory ligament becomes loose. When it relaxes, the suspensory ligaments become stretched. So that can now affect the words focal length. And as I said, to focus on distant object, the lens of the eye should have a longer focal length. This is possible when the lens becomes thinner and longer. So since they are asking us distant objects, for us to see distant objects, the lens of the eye must become longer and thinner, having a higher focal length so that it will not bend light rays too much and just bring it ready to focus on retina. So when the lens is thinner and longer, we can see distant objects more. So what will cause that? What happens to the ciliary muscle and cause especially? Now look at what I said. When we look at far away objects, the ciliary muscles of the eye relaxes and move away from the lens, causing the suspensory ligaments to become stretched. Once it relaxes, the suspensory ligament will now become stretched, pulling the lens at both ends. This makes the lens to become thinner and longer, so that light rays passing through the lens are bent less, enabling them to focus on the retina. So the answer is relax, ciliary muscle relax, causing the lens to become thinner and longer. So relaxes and the legs gets thinner. Relaxes and the lens gets thinner. Okay, no longer. Relaxes and the lens gets thinner. Okay, so you can see that our best choice is B, relaxes and the eye lens gets thinner. Question number 19. The main function of the amniotic fluid is for? Is it respiration in the fetus? Is it protection of the fetus from shock? Lubricating of the birth canal? Nourishing of the fetus? Now, this respiration and nourishment of the fetus is being produced by the connection between the umbilical cord of the fetus to the placenta of the mother. So that umbilical cord is connected to the navel, that's the belly button, the navel of the baby inside the womb. So through that pipe, that small tube of umbilical cord to the navel is being attached to the mother's placenta. In that way, digested food and oxygen can get to the baby, and waste products can pass out. So the baby receives food, which is nutrient and oxygen, and pass out waste through the umbilical cord. So that colorless or pale yellow liquid that surrounds the baby, that the baby swims inside for months or weeks, is called the amniotic fluid. So the amniotic fluid is responsible for protecting the fetus. The fluid cushions the baby from outside pressure, acting as a shock absorber. So that's the main function of that amniotic fluid. It protects the baby, acting as a shock absorber. So the fluid insulates the baby, keeping it warm and maintaining regular. So the main function of the amniotic fluid is what? Protection. Protection. So that's protection of the fetus from maybe shock and high temperature and all that. Okay. So low temperature. So the best answer there is protection of the fetus from shock. Question number 20, and obviously it will be the last for today. The diagram below is an illustration of the longitudinal section of a flower. Study it and answer questions 20 and 21, but today we will only use it to answer question 20. We'll use it to answer question 20. Which part of the flower is responsible for protection of the young flower bulbs? Is it the part labeled I? Is it the part labeled II? Is it the part labeled III? Is it the part labeled IV? So what I did is that I only explain these parts I, and IV. Then from there, we can now know which is the correct answer. So the part labeled R here is called the petal. It is responsible for attracting pollinators. When you see a flower, there is this part of the leaf or so that looks fresh and smooth to the touch. Sometimes it can be white in color, red in color, yellow in color, orange in color, blue in color, purple in color, and it has a very sweet fragrance. It smells fresh. That part is called the petal. That petal, because of its bright color and scent, usually attracts insects and birds towards cause pollination of the flower. II is the part, is that green part. So it's the sepal. It is responsible for protecting the essential parts of the flower during the bud stage. So that time that the flower is budding or shooting out, the sepal helps to protect other components or structure of the flower. That's the function of the sepal. Helps to protect other components or parts of the flower, especially during the bud stage, that time that the thing is shooting out. 3 is the pedicle or flower stalk. It is for what? Attachment. So this is the pedicle. It is used for attachment of the flower to the tree or the plant itself. 4 is the carpel. It is a female part of the flower. So this place you see here is called the carpel. Is the female part of the flower. So from all these things we've labeled or we've explained now, which one is our correct answer? They say protecting young flower buds. So you can see that the correct answer is 2, which is the sepal. It is responsible for protecting the essential parts of the flower during the bud stage. So your correct answer is II, which is what? 2. Okay, students, with that, we've come to the end of today's section on biology, where we looked at past questions for the year 2019. We solved questions 16 to 20. If you look below here, you will see a link. We urge you to use this link to join our WhatsApp group. When you do so, you'll be getting updates and infos on the latest video you have on YouTube that you find interesting in what's watching. So I'll meet you next time. Until then, my name remains Mr. Chima. Bye and stay safe.